Good morning, everybody, and also thanks to the organizers for allowing me to speak. I can say to something totally different, because of course today we very much talk about the future, and well, not the immediate future, not next year, but further beyond. However, to use our director's favorite expression, there's also the daily bread and butter business, and this is our next call, which I have been asked to introduce to you. I will be probably a bit shorter than the program allows, because I'm not able today to give full details of all of each topic and their detailed requirements, but I will give an overview. I will also briefly talk about the future and what we're working on in preparing the Beyond 2013 call, and a few words about what I see that we will be in need for in helping preparing the future, planning it, and where NanoFutures can contribute. Most of you, or many of you, I recognize, so I'm sure you already know our program and our structure, etc. There are also some new here, fortunately, today. So very briefly, the program, the NMP program, Nanotechnologies, Nanosciences, Materials and Production, is one of the cooperation 9 themes, and we will, over the 7 years that finishes by the last 2 calls, have spent around 3.5 billion euros. The Nanoscience and Nanotechnologies work program for 2012 is going to have topics distributed over these 4 main areas. In the first one, maximizing the contribution of nanotechnology on sustainable development. This is where we, over not only this call, but generally have been supporting activities like contribution of nanotechnology on the sustainable development, like applications incorporating nanotechnology in various sectors, and promoting step change of industrial performance. These are the overall objectives of that area of our program. The second area, nanotechnology for benefiting environment and energy and health, has allowed us and will allow us still to call for topics that supports meeting the most urgent societal challenges, that contribute to an eco-efficient economy and innovation-led growth, and hopefully to win-win opportunities for combining societal and industrial interests, as we have talked a lot about in this conference as well. The third area is the safety of nanotechnology, where we are progressing from the impact of nanoparticles to ensuring the overall safety. We're looking for approaches that covers identification of hazards, for knowledge of potential adverse effects, and measurement of control exposures. And then finally, there are the cross-cutting and enabling R&D, as it has been termed, where we, for example, support the development of necessary multidisciplinary research and innovation infrastructure activities, and we support activities that enable the atomically precise control of processes. This is sort of the overview of our program. And for the 2012, we will shortly be launching the call for these topic areas. In the first area that I explained before, we're looking for, as it says here, nanocatalysts for energy production. In the second area, we will be having titles like reactive nanoparticles for in situ site remediation. We will have, and this is under the Green Car PPP, we will have nanotechnology approaches to increase the performance of HVAC systems. In the Green Car area, we will have nanotechnology for post-lithium-ion batteries. And finally, we will have the topic called Development and Phase 1 Clinical Trials of Novel and Translatable Therapeutic Nanotechnology-Enabled Systems, especially including combination products for the treatment of cardiovascular diseases. Then to the safety area, where we actually will have 3 topics. The first one will be systematic investigations of mechanisms and effects of engineered nanomaterial interactions with living systems and the environment. The second will be modeling the toxicity behavior of engineered nanoparticles, and finally regulatory testing of nanomaterials. Under the cross-cutting area, 4 topics. First, precision synthesis of nanomaterials, then hierarchical assembly of nanoscale building blocks, then a topic on measurement of the performance and durability of low-friction nanostructured coatings, and the fourth will be evaluation of EC communication and dialogue on research and innovation in nanotechnologies and a design of the future needs for the EU. So this is the dialogue issue where we could also say this conference is very much a part of. The planned date of publication is the 20th of July, so still 6 weeks to go. We expect to be able to show the preliminary draft work program middle of this month, so everybody has a chance to get a head start on preparing. And we will be using, for the main calls, we'll be using 2-stage process, where the first stage outline of a 10-page description of a proposal will have a deadline in November of this year. So this will be your first deadline for participating to our 2012 call. That was all about our next year call. If we look towards the what follows beyond 2013, so when FP7, the Framework Program 7, has finished, then as we have heard throughout the conference, there has been several speakers, including the Commission colleagues, who have addressed this. And as you know, we are right now in the preparation of the coming strategic framework program, collecting input. There's been the consultations that will be, where the result of the consultation will be ready in a few weeks. What the context of it is the CSF is set in the, first of all, in the context of Europe 2020 strategy. Here we talk about objectives like smart and sustainable inclusive growth. We're still targeting to have a 3% of the GDP invested in R&D. The focus, very much important throughout this conference and for the future, is the Innovation Union Flagship Initiative. The scope of the CSF is also in line with the idea to enlarge what we've been doing in the 7th Framework Program into allowing for getting our research closer to the market. We will see that we try to combine the activities we have on the FP7, which are today, in these 7 years that has been planned under FP7, a budget of 53 billion in these 4 areas of ideas, cooperation, people and capacities. As I mentioned in my first slide, we belong to the cooperation part. How it will look in the future, we don't know, but we know that there will be continuation of research, of course, in many of the areas we know today. That's simply necessary. But in addition to that, we add what today is known as the Competitiveness and Innovation Framework Program, which in FP7 has had a 3.6 billion budget. We add what you could say has been an emerging initiative through FP7, the European Institute for Innovation and Technology, and their activities, which in FP7 has had a minor budget, but I think a good budget to get started, which of 300 million. Most importantly, and here I think we have a big challenge in how we can strengthen the complementarity with the structural funds, because we want to develop Europe, and we're spending a lot of money there already, and a lot of that goes into research-related activities. But all these things I mentioned here on this slide, they're all happening, as you say, more or less separately, not as integrated as we would like to see them. Planning for the CSF, the Common Strategic Framework, integrating all these things into one overall planning will hopefully lead us to achieving more out of these budgets. If we're getting a lot more money, I don't want to speculate in, but if we only manage to use what we have and continue to have, hopefully, in a better way, that will hopefully give much more results. You can say that the objectives is, of course, as I just explained, we want to go from the different priorities to common strategic priorities, as I just said. We want to see the gaps between the stages reduced. We also, I would say, continuously strive to, I don't know if you all agree that we have always succeeded, but we always say we want to allow easier participation to all these activities. I think it's not recognized well maybe in FP7, and also because we, as I showed now on this previous slide, we have so many different activities managed in different ways, and I think even also the activities we have in our own program areas have been split up in different subsections with different rules and regulations. So if we manage to do what our masters have said we must, then simplification will certainly be a great achievement. Finally, just a few words on what I think NanoFutures can do. Chris has introduced very well by saying why NanoFutures idea is so important to us and why we, from our program, has supported it since its outset. And if you look at the planning of the CSF, of course this conference here has provided lots of important input. And I look forward to reading the report. I would have liked to be able to divide myself into 4 or 5 clones. I could have been in all of the sessions, or even more, because also what we call the parallel activities that happened in addition to the main program, I know has been extremely popular. This conference, from being planned with 4 parallel or 3 parallel sessions over 2 days, became, 6, 7, 8 parallel sessions in some periods of the 2 days, and with this 3rd day very well organized by MFA. So I think we have a lot to learn from this conference, and we will be using this conference. What is happening today, we need to see in the future contribute to continuing with the dialogue and to collect the information that will help us in planning, defining a strategy for implementing the keynotes that you just heard of defined now, identified by the analysis done by NanoFutures in the past months, is very important, and especially implementing them by involving all players. We need to know, and this Peter very well said, innovation is not happening if you just replace the word research by innovation and you still keep speaking to the same people. We want NanoFutures to help us speaking to the full value chain, to all the players, and especially, I would say, from say bottom up, addressing and getting better contact with the people who today don't participate so much. And here I first of all speak probably about the majority of the SMEs in Europe that would like to include research in their daily business and try to do it locally. And if we want to reach this, we also need to address it locally. So, as I said, we need to address both large and small SMEs. We need to look across all sectors as NanoFutures is set up for. And we need to activate research and industry networks, consumers, public authorities at regional and national level. So I know we have a very important horizontal work activity in NanoFutures, which is on networking. David Gonzalez and his people in that working group is in contact with many regional and national platforms. And I think there, by having people involved in the NanoFuture network that also speaks the local and national languages and can go out and do spread the ideas will help us in also getting these ideas back to Brussels. NanoFutures is not just for Brussels and for input to us, it's also for input locally. So I think by discussing it European-wide from Brussels, but involving people out in the regions, I think we can also bring a message back to the national programs and maybe achieve this better integration that CSF has as an objective when it comes to European activities. We can maybe also achieve this integration by involving the national programs. Thank you very much for allowing me to say a bit about everything, and have a continued nice day.